Welcome to Charter Conversations. I'm Dr. Marco Clark, and I'm here with my co-host, Ms. Stovall. We're excited about this Charter Conversation with you guys. And as one of the winners last year in the student empowerment area, this is a very, very special award for me, all right? So I have 3 finalists. You know, you guys are really incredible. Had a chance to read all of your stuff, watch you the other day in your conversations with everyone. And so, you know, this category is just amazing. One of the things about it, I had a chance to also sit on the selection committee and to see the great work that you guys were doing. And I can tell you, we really took a great, impressive group this year. Really, really impressive. It was something unique about each and every one of you guys. And so I wanted you to take a moment to introduce yourselves. I'm gonna start right here.
Okay. Hey, so great to be here with you today. I'm Allison Halpern. I'm Chief Advancement Officer of Life Learning Academy. We are a small public charter high school and youth serving organization that also provides housing. We're located on Treasure Island, which sits between San Francisco and Oakland, right off the Bay Bridge.
Good afternoon. I'm Michelle Nunez, the principal and CEO of Galileo School for Gifted Learning. We're located in Sanford, Florida, which is just outside of Orlando. We have 2 schools with a duplicate mission and vision intended to be mostly identical. On one of our campuses, we have VPK through 8th grade, and the other is K through 8. We are Galileo School for Gifted Learning, not learners. So our school is very diverse in the student makeup with regards to abilities. Our goal for our students is for them to pursue their passionate interests in service to others. It's a wonderful model of student empowerment.
Thanks. Good afternoon. Dave Heinton, founding school director of Exploration High School in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And we're a public school for public good. So we are led by students, powered by teachers, and rooted in community. So we really want to provide our students with the tools to address the complex issues in the world and teach them creative and collaborative problem-solving skills that really empower them to be change makers in the world. We're in our 2nd year of operation. We're the first school in over 10 years to successfully open in the Twin Cities and through opening in the start of a pandemic. So we're excited to have our first graduating class next year at June 7th, 2024.
So I want to start by asking a question. I'm going to go to the center. Since we're in Florida, I want to know, tell me this, what does student empowerment mean to you?
I think student empowerment means being incredibly flexible and being able to mold your school program into what students need it to be. So constantly pivoting, being responsive to students, and knowing that you cannot really pave a path for your school without student interests and opinions in mind. So a lot of people say that I say yes too much. I try not to say no, to be honest, because all of our students, our parents, and our staff are stakeholders. And everyone has an opinion that deserves to be heard and responded to. And that doesn't mean that you have to constantly be pivoting, but you do have to keep it in mind as you're kind of commanding the effort to make it an organization that works for everybody. So we are the champions of them, and I think that they are the group that we have to respond to the most, because if we're not offering them what they need, they're not going to get it elsewhere.
So who says that you say yes too much?
It's mostly my staff.
So you got to keep that hat on and not worry about the staff. Say, look, maybe you guys should say yes a little bit more. So because we're working on empowerment, as we empower young people, remember sometimes it's okay to say yes.
The goal of what I think works, actually, keeping my staff in mind, is that if you're pleasing to the staff, they're going to come to work happy and they're going to do wonderful things with children. And if the children are happy at school, their parents are happy. So it really is keeping all stakeholders in mind. And then students will be empowered because they're in a happy place with nurturing adults, getting a little bit of what they want out of what they have to do, which is school. And I think some of them, they genuinely love it. So it doesn't feel like a have to anymore because you've put a little bit of them in it.
That's an interesting quote, interesting statement. I'm going to come back to that, push on it just a little bit. I want to hear from you.
Yeah, around student empowerment, I love what you're saying. I mean, our kids are really happy. Like when we empower our students, you see them just more successful. They're happier. And that's giving them choice. That's giving them agency of their learning, but then their own life. And so I mean, heard a few of our students earlier may have been here for a talk, but like having entrepreneurs and students being able to create their own futures, and that we're here as their mentors is guiding them through that process. And what they said is, hey, we need less about some of the curriculum and the learning. We need more of just like treat us as humans and as people. And so if we start in that place and really listen to them and build them up.
You guys are doing a great job with your students. I want to, I want to go to another little question. What does it mean to be empowered?
To be empowered, and it's not dissimilar to what was just said, but really this idea of you have a voice, somebody is listening to you when you speak, and then somebody is responding to that. Because if you do not have a voice, and if you are invisible or disconnected or whatever it is, you are not going to feel like you have the power and you have the agency. And so when we imbibe our students with the idea that somebody will listen to you, and here are some of the things that you need to do. You need to stop and think and decide, because every choice you make is going to impact your future. So give it a minute. You are responsible for our community. And so this each one teach one, you bring folks along when you do it. And sometimes you need, even though you may not feel like it, to act as if, and to really bring forward your best self, even if you're having a bad day. But all that said, and with all those things, we see you, we hear you, and we are going to do our best to say yes, even if it makes people mad. Sometimes as much as we can to give you what you need, because you deserve it.
You know, I'm glad to say I told you I was going to come back to pushing on you just a moment. And the reason I did that and said that was because it's important that I understand empowerment. I was a young man that spent 5 years in high school. I had a poor SAT score, bad GPA. I never felt empowered. All the teachers were happy because they were able to run out of the door at 3 o'clock and get in their cars. But the student was left behind. And so I wonder why, because I was the left behind student, why that was so important to be empowered. So what is being empowered as a student? What does it mean to you to look at a student and know that you have empowered them to have energy, to have voice over their education, to be a part of their dreams and their aspirations? What does that mean to you?
So I think every school is trying to do something to meet most of the students where they are and make them know that their voices are heard, and that is going to, at our school specifically, voices and choices. Like that's a guiding principle of our school, and all of our staff is on board with that. But that hits your tier 1 of students. And there are students who likely have a similar experience to you, that tier 1 service isn't going to make them feel empowered because they might not have that connection to an adult or to a program or to a passionate interest that is making them have that stake in that organization or that building. So I think that's where maybe a student who is a bit more vulnerable needs the extra measures to make them feel empowered. And it might just be finding an adult to make them feel heard and that they connect with. So that's our effort at our school. It's certainly not perfect, and I hope that we're not leaving students out. But I think that we do our very best to make sure that that connection is there and that nurturing piece is there. Because my guess is that's where your school may have went wrong, is that nurturing piece wasn't there and you didn't feel that connection. So I think the connection in itself is pivotal for empowerment. That's the start of it.
When we have conversations like this with young people, many of the times a lot of people don't think that young people know about their education. It's like, you're 12 years old. What can you possibly know about what you want to learn? And so why is empowerment like an integral part of their educational journey? Like it has to be. And we have to put our students in a place where they can actually feel empowered and that their voice matters. So what does that mean to you?
I think it's the present and the future. Like, one, we're all human beings, And we got to start in a place of love and care, as you're saying, and foster a sense of belonging, building bridges in communities. So we have to start a place of just basic care and love. And then I think of the future of there's kids are thinking of so many different things and worrying about what's going on in the world or how do they fit in the world and fit in with their friends. And so listening and giving them that voice and space to be able to figure themselves out and where they want to go to make a difference in the world. So it's a little of both.
Any one of you guys could share a story about your students, a time where you made them feel empowerment, even if you didn't like it. I know as a school leader, I've had some times where students have walked in and made comments to me. One particular student that a lot of folks know happens to be a graduate of Richard Wright Schools, and she's in college right now, George Mason. She happens to be sitting in the audience. But she made a couple statements when she was a student, and she pushed on the thoughts that I may have had. What did you guys, tell me some stories about some interesting things you had with certain students.
One of the really great things that happened at the start of this school year is I had a student who typically takes a back seat socially, present an opportunity that he thought would be really helpful for students like him. And he sent me a message and said, Mrs. Nunez, I'm a student who have felt like the club offerings that we have right now, I've not been able to connect with. But I would find a really great connection if I had the opportunity to academically tutor elementary students and share my knowledge of curriculum with them. And that is a club that I would love to form. Who's not going to get on board with that? That's like a pretty easy ask. But I think what hit me most important, even though obviously there's some organizational things that have to be done in order to do that, and staff that has to oversee it, and unintended programs that come in September when you open in August. There are some infrastructure things that need to happen. But that was a unique opportunity for a student who typically takes a back seat to feel empowered to speak up and say, hey, your standard offerings of robotics and chorus and pre-vet are not enough for me. This is what I need. And great news, what I want to do is also going to help a lot of kids who might academically need a mentor or an additional partnership to make their proficiency dreams come through. So I think that was a really great example of empowerment that hit our school this year.
And I'm so glad you didn't close the door. That is so important to keep the doors open. Students need to know that you have an open door policy where their voice matters. Everything that they're talking about is empowerment, that they are empowered to ask questions, even if it's something that's very outlandish, things that people will never think about. I can think of some times where students at my organization have asked to do things like, there's a basket weaving. I don't know anything about basket weaving. But there's a student that wanted to do basket weaving, and we decided to open up a club. Now, I had to learn some things about basket weaving, right? And so I don't know who's in the audience knows basket weaving. It's a very difficult process to work on. But as the leader, you have to have some energy around opening those things that are going to be necessary and opening an opportunity for young people to do.
I think of one of our sophomores, Nathaniel, and one of projects that we had is called Community Asset Projects, where they're solving community issue. And so his topic was all around mental health. And he took it in a direction of around technology and then the relationships students have with it and mental health. And he ended up creating a whole schedule of a disconnection day. And so got the whole entire school community to be off their phones and just go back to the basics of board games and playing out in the yard. And it was a totally different vibe in the school that was started by a student. And if I had done that as a principal or a teacher of like, put away, no phones today, no technology, and us as a staff also having to do that, was powerful. And now the students want to do it every month.
You guys are incredible rock stars. You know that, right? You smile like you take that, like that's likely. That's a big deal. that you guys are rock stars in this, and that's the reason why you're here, right? You're here with this student empowerment because you've shown us, you've proven that you guys are empowering young people, and you are showing that you're not afraid to step back and allow a student's voice to be heard, which is super incredible. So why do you think your school was chosen for this recognition?
It's in our DNA. Like, as a school at Exploration, like to what you're saying, we've been so intentional of our students and empowering them and involving them in all of our processes, all the things. We think about our curriculum, and so they have all the choice there. We think about the culture building that we're doing, and we think about the committees that they're on, that they come to meetings with me. They co-authored the grant with Building Hope. They're part of food committees and starting our athletics. And so all the administrative stuff, breaking down those barriers, we go by first name basis. Like, they know me as Dave, to break down some of those power dynamics that are there.
Now, that's real power right there. To call you Dave, right? That's real power, but keep going.
Yeah, I mean, I can list them out a ton of things. I mean, because again, it's baked into what we're doing, because we believe this is the future and direction of education. This is education, of empowering our youth as leaders.
I would say Life Learning Academy is a school that's 25 years old and a very small school that maxes out at 60 students. We, this past year, held our first all-year reunion, welcoming back all of the classes. And we're now starting to have second-generation classes where the parents went to Life Learning Academy, and then they're bringing their kids there. And to a person, the alumni spoke about what they learned about the life learning, about how to live a successful life as an adult, personally, professionally, and in raising their own students. They harken back to those lessons. I remember it was the greatest math class I ever took. Some of them said that, but really it was more about the way the school taught them how to survive in the world that was really outstanding. And I think it's what stood out and what gave us the lovely opportunity to be here with this group.
I think the only thing that I would add is that coming from a system where you see that student voices are not always taken. When I came to Galileo, one of the guiding principles was voices and choices. And I don't think that I understood that coming in, of course, to the level that I do now, being the person who always has to make sure that that is happening. But to the point of, why did we get here? I think when you visit our school, you see the happiness, because when everybody's feeling empowered and they feel like their voice is heard, people are in general happy to be there, and that's contagious. So I can only guess that one of the wonderful people from Building Hope has noticed that when they walk into our building, there's a lot of people smiling, and they may have had the opportunity to witness, which is my favorite thing to witness, when a parent gets really excited about checking their child out early for something fun that they're going to do, and they'll bring up the child and they'll say, "Please, can I stay a little longer?" And that's the largest compliment to me as a principal that I could ever ask for, is that they genuinely like school.
Now, another tough question for you guys. Here's the question. You think empowerment is taught or demonstrated?
I think it's demonstrated and modeled. I mean, I think it starts us also empowering our teachers and our staff to be able to also model that and demonstrate that for students. I'm a big believer in learning by doing and through that experience. And so I don't think you can just read something of, oh, this is how you can do it. And you got to experience it and do it. And I think we all kind of walk the walk and do that and empower our staff around it.
I agree.
Modeled was the word that came to mind for me as well, and to be really explicit that you're opening up the power structure. I don't know. What do you think? Let's hear what you think, and how can we work that in?
I agree. And I think that that's with anything that you do with the teachers, the parents, and the students, is taking in all the opinions and constantly modeling that and reminding everybody that we're a big community. So all of those participants are vastly important.
You know, it's interesting. I've heard you guys say a lot about your staff and your team. and ensuring that they understand this and trying to get this buy-in from them. But what happens when the staff doesn't buy in?
Not a good ending. Unfortunately, I mean, there's magic in like that's one of my favorite parts of the job is to be able to connect and build that team because we're stronger together as a team, and it's really important to have students and families as part of that process leading up. But when someone's doesn't understand your mission and vision, it's going to turn to negativity and complaining and gossiping. And as we say to our students and our staff, like we have a 24-hour rule. If you don't like something, like you got to go to them and address it, like face to face, or let it go. Like we don't have time here to be keep going and complaining about something. If you complain, let's find a solution. We say it to our students and our staff. So that I think, yeah, it's really important to find the right people to be on board.
Yeah, I think the only thing I would add to that, and I agree with you wholeheartedly, is that sometimes when people naturally see the results of student empowerment, they can get on board. Not always, but sometimes it's just going to be a little bit longer of a process. And certainly you don't want for negativity to continue, and you don't want somebody to be uncomfortable with your structure because that's going to translate to students. But I do think that people can be coached, and we're all at heart moms and dads who want the best for our kids. So if I encounter an adult who's uncomfortable with the constant pivoting that you need in order to be a school of empowerment, I think you just provide additional opportunities for them to see the positivity that can come from it. And then ultimately, if it doesn't work out, we part ways and we tried.
See, I was wondering if you were going to push there. I tried. You finally, okay, I got you to say exactly that. That was excellent. And so, one of the things, and we're getting ready to wrap up, is that I always share, and I ask you to share this with your team. Just remember this, because empowerment is so important. One of the things I always say to my team, I love you guys, but I will always love the children more. And their empowerment is important. This has been an amazing conversation. I'm going to give you guys 10 seconds to just really shout out student empowerment in your school before you go. Leave us with 10 seconds of something that's powerful.
Listen, go co-create, and let go of anything you want and create something magical with students alongside them.
I would say believe in the power of yes, because every stakeholder will feel very happy to be a part of your organization if you are responsive to them.
I would say ask for what you need, speak up. This is a space where you can do that, and I assure you that somebody is listening and somebody sees you.
Well, thank you so much. This has been an amazing charter conversation. I appreciate you guys, and your recognition is definitely intact and in order for what you guys are doing. Remember, we set limits, we teach lessons, and you do it all in the name of love. Great conversation. Yes. Thank you.